Hello. There we go. Desktop audio. Alright, we're just about ready. Little Toadette's bedtime keeps pushing back later and later. All right. Whew. We're gonna do some programming. Let's see here. All right. Right. We have our editor now. Forgot about that. So all right, so what we want to do tonight is, actually I'm not 100% sure what we're going to do tonight. First off, we'll go over what we've got so far, which is a very basic level editor where we can build terrain. We probably want one of those. We can build like starting units so that like the map starts with some kind of structure if we wanted to. Something like that, you know? And then we can build out our number of, you know, wave 1 is gonna spawn 64 penguins, and then there's going to be another wave after that and all that. That has, you know, penguins coming from the right instead or something. And then maybe there's a wave that has it coming from both sides, and also a wave that adds some new enemies. Right now we only have one type of enemy, so we are going to have to work on that at some point. Now the question is, for tonight, how in-depth do we want to get? Because right now you can't even really, you can export the items, but you can't really play them. Right now I don't have, it just starts you out on just some randomly generated terrain and no enemies spawn, which, whatever. I think maybe we want to get to the point where we have a barely playable, like, at least to the point where you can actually import a scenario and play it. Right now you can import a scenario so that you can further edit it. So here's the scenario we just exported. But wouldn't it be nice if you could then actually play the scenario? I think so. So let's work on that a little bit. I think what we want to do tonight then is some basic UI work, like an actual interface, user controls, clickable buttons, on-screen items, that sort of thing. So we need a UI handler of some sort. See, now this is all done on the left-hand side. This sidebar, this is actually creating an HTML element that overlays on top of the hey DJ, welcome. So what we got so far is that this whole sidebar on the left doesn't actually get drawn to the canvas. It's a separate HTML object that is generated. The reason I did that is because that allows us to take advantage of the browser's native input boxes, keyboard shortcuts, label functionality, mouse over CSS, all this stuff that we could program on our own from scratch, but it would be a pain to do.
What's the dog doing?
He's grooving, man. Rover's just grooving. Where's our Rover? Get our Rover and our big Rover. So let's see here. Oh, that's Pilot Wings music. Oh, you know what? Let's just listen to Pilot Wings. Just Pilot Wings 64 Birdman soundtrack. This is the one. 10 hours of Birdman. Crank it up. This is the one. It has, hasn't it? It would have been several months, I'm sure. You changed names 4 times. Let's see. You were Afriz, maybe? Now just Frizz? Okay. DJ Frizz, rather. Let's not kid ourselves. So let's add a folder. Not there. Folder for UI. Birdman, Pilot Wing 64. Very good song. Very jazzy. Very, it's got some funk. It's got some soul. It's a very floaty track. Perfect for the game. Alright. So for our UI, we are going to need... Oh, what are we going to need? I remember the Fighty Sweden. I don't think I saw you when you were C-Tech. It gets confusing. I've had a lot of other long-term followers, long-term chatters that have changed names, and it takes me a while to like mentally switch who they are in my head. But I get there in the end. Oh, I need to push this slightly. There we go. There I am in the center of the screen. Sticking with this name, excellent. Not changing it. Forever. For the next 30 years, that's your name. Until Twitch goes out of business in March 7th, 2051. Calling it. Let's see. When we did Moonrover, actually, let's bring up Moonrover for a little bit. Oh, I don't have it in my recent. All right, Moonrover. Oh gosh, mute. Oh my gosh, that's loud. Ah, well there you go. Yeah, you got to keep your branding. Okay, Moonrover. Here's the things that we want to take away from Moonrover. For Moonrover, when I create a button, I supply it an X and Y of the center of the button, and then I can also throw in things like a width and height, which is okay. Could be better. Really, giving it the X and Y center location is only good for when I want to center an entire layout. I can't think of any other scenarios. Typically, it'd be much easier to give it just the XY of the upper left corner and a width and height. Also provide it with text to draw in the center, and I provide it with an on-click handler, something to do when you click the button. Now here's the next thing. The menu stack. So you can drill down, like I can hit play and it goes here, and then I can click here and it goes here, and then I can go back and I can go back. So I'm like going one level deeper in the menu, and I can go back and then forward down a different path, and then back all the way out. That is something that I kind of did late in the game on Moonrover development, and I kind of wish I had thought of that stack concept earlier. Stack is a very common concept in programming. I didn't think to apply it to the menus. Frizz, tell me about the art stuff you're doing. Okay. Down a level, down another level, back up, down a level, back up, down a level, back up, down a level, down a level, back, down, back. So I want to do something like that. What kind of buttons are we gonna have here? Should I bring up the Moonrover code base maybe so I can kind of peek at how that works? Character menu, achievement menu. See, there's not like a generic. Oh, here we go. UI handler. Does that do it? No. Shelve. Here we go. Shelve. So we have a list of elements in our UI handler. Music. Nice. I've done a little bit for like mostly just small songs specifically for the game projects that we do. So we want to do. We want to have a UI handler. Make sure to add that to our stuff here. Right, it's UI/UI handler. Okay, and we got to make sure that we actually create one of those objects when we start the game. Which I guess we can do that just when we initialize. That should be fine there. Made a remix for a competition. The winners are being chosen really soon. Ooh, you feel good about it? You think you got a decent shot here? All right, so UI handler is going to own a list of elements and a history stack. Debug mode. I don't think I need debug mode right now. Initialized. Why did I need it initialized? Huh. I wonder if I just never used that. Got a decent chance. Proud of. All right, nice. I'm gonna copy and paste a lot of this from Moonrover. Oh gosh, what did I do here? Oh, I did target X, target Y. Not sure if that's necessary. Yeah, mostly I just want a draw function, but it doesn't need all of this. It just needs... Here we go. It just needs this for now. We don't need all that extra overhead. Yeah, when something really comes together, it feels good. Snap update function. That's something we're gonna need to deal with. Are you the only one listening here? There's probably some people lurking. What like genre is the music you're making? If you can genre it. Oh, I know why I did an update function. It was because, okay, here we go. It's because of a few things. The big one is oh yeah, buttons can be disabled. That is an important one. hold timer. Do I need... Oh, wait. Why did I have a hold timer? On hold. Did I ever use that? I never actually used that. Huh. Oh, wait. This is the wrong code base I'm searching for on hold. Here we go. I did have an on hold button. Ah, yes, for swapping weapons, you would have to tap and hold or click and hold. Cookies. Nice, Hudson. We are shamelessly copying code from Moonrover. We're not going to do UI elements moving around, I don't think. It is a fairly broad genre, yeah. We're going to get rid of that. We're going to get rid of that. Mouse over any buttons. Okay, so let's read through this and see if any of this is necessary. Get buttons. Let's see. Some of these... I mean, I get it. I get why I did some of these, but... some of these feel a little silly. Except Bass House, Future House, melodic dubstep. Nice. I don't touch any genres near that, so... I don't have as much to nerd out about. Can click. Oh, that's what this timer is. I made it so that you can't, like, click on a button and immediately click on another button until 5 milliseconds had passed. Okay, actually that is a reasonable thing to want to have now that I think of it. Button last clicked. That is actually a handy thing to copy in. Compextro, I've never even heard of that. Now you're just making stuff up. Okay, no toggles. We're not doing toggles this time around. Complextro, okay. Oh, got it then. Don't got it. Is mouse clicked? I assume I've already got that taken care of in my mouse handler. Yes, I do. Okay, so this code that we're pretty much copy and pasting from an old project looks at our set of UI buttons, which we still need to make. We're going to call it UI button specifically, though, instead of just button. Yeah, hit me with an explanation. Oh, I've got some of this nice homemade bread from dinner tonight. It's really good. Look at that. Look at that. Beautiful, beautiful bread. Okay, this seems fine. I think this is enough here for the button situation. Now we need to actually make our button class here. What all are we going to have in a button? Electro house music takes elements from dubstep, which has some chiptune. Oh, nice. I've been enjoying a little bit of electro swing, like Caravan Palace and some other not nearly as popular bands. Caravan Palace is the big one for me, because I'm a big fan of like actual old big band music, and electro swing was just a really good way to kind of modernize it a little bit. It's basically just very classic, like big band style, big brass, sets with Timite's remix Party Like It's 1923. That does sound right up my alley. But I would let the meld of like those old, really good, tight harmonies with just a really more modern beat and energy. It's good stuff. All right, so a button is going to accept what? A button name. We need an X and Y location. Do we want a width and height? A width and height, I guess, and then an on-click handler. And now we're basically just gonna do what TypeScript would do for us. We're gonna do it manually. Oh gosh, there are some things that I feel like TypeScript does so well. Like when I look back at vanilla JavaScript, I'm like, gosh, all of this could have just been public. That would have been enough. Or private even. Still just as good. Alright, let's see here. Moonbakor. I have no idea what that is. A lot of the more niche, like, electronic genres, no clue. It's fantastic that there's, like, such interest out there in music and all these very niche subsets that you get entire communities dedicated to them. I love that. I love how the internet allows for the existence of micro communities. Like, these really specific subjects have this small but extremely dedicated set of people that just adore their topic of hyper interest. Let's see here. So we need a draw function, which I assume our UI handler will call. Yes, it will. Excellent. Drawing a button. It's going to be ctx draw rect. No, fill rect. I don't know what our default color scheme is going to be. Moonbatoon beat to an EDM track. I don't know what the beat is. I may have to check that. Oops, ctx dot fill style. All right, here's something I don't like about VS Code is the accidental imports all the time. All right, we need a theme color for our buttons. And you know what? This deep blue here, I think is exactly what I want. Right here, this guy. Oh, actually, it's not really a, there we go. It's not a real color, that's just gray on top of, that's just an opaque dark color. I have heard the beat, I've just never, oh wow. It's like the Wilhelm scream or something. All right. Fill rect. We need an X. We need a Y. We need a width. And we need a height. Easy. Let's see here. Now here's a trick. It would be really cool. Actually, let me do an experiment here. What if I was able to do something like UI handler dot button and then give it an object that contained a series of properties. All right, this is going to be a little bit experimental, and I don't know, but I mean, all right. At work, I'm not going to experiment with this kind of stuff because I've got tried and true methods that work better and are more accepted. But when I'm just doing some casual programming, I can try some really stupid stuff and just see what works. So what if I were to provide, instead of a list of parameters, very involved in African music, huh? Yeah, I've never heard the word before. Instead of providing a list of parameters, what if we provide an object that contains some parameters, you know, something like this, and then takes its on-click event and its name separately somehow. Button name, blah, 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 blah. The more you know. So, why am I thinking of doing it this way instead? Well, one moment. While I deal with this rogue hangnail. And then I will tell you. I know you're all waiting with bated breath to know what cockamamie scheme I've whipped up in my head. Alright, so the general idea is what if I didn't want to provide the X? What if instead I wanted to provide X center or something? Like I knew where I wanted it to be centered, but I didn't know what that meant exactly. And what if I wanted to provide like the center Y, like if I wanted to horizontally and vertically center the object without having to count out like, okay, the width is this and that. Hello, I'm new to coding and having a problem with HTML. Web page won't open my picture, but just shows an icon. Huh. Oh, is it, let's see if I can very quickly generate something that might do the same thing. There we go. So down here, let's see if I can zoom way in. Oh gosh, it's going to be very difficult to see this, isn't it? Delete elements. Hard to see this. Whoop, hello? Where's my image? Where's my snip and sketch? Let's see. That is the image? Okay, that's an easy one. That image represents a missing image. So that just means that, let me zoom in on my, oh gosh, this is awful, isn't it? Hello, everyone that's here now. Snarky, good to see you. Hudson's still lurking about. Kip, good to see you. All right, so down here, I've got my, I don't know if you can actually see this very well, because this is going to be like, let me really zoom in. All right, image SRC test. When you have an image element in HTML, you provide it with the location of the image itself. If that image does not exist there, you instead get that little icon that looks like a broken picture, which just basically means, hey, that image that you gave me, I can't find it. So, got a little bread on my microphone there. That was kind of gross. Basically, you just need to double check the... oh, our picture is broken. You need to double check to make sure that the location of the image and the name of it is exactly correct. Random Farm Tower Defense. I've never heard of that. So when you're, just make sure you've got like no typos in the name, that it's the right folder. If you're using Visual Studio Code, then in your HTML editing, you can actually control click on the SRC tag and it will open that image up, and that way you should be able to confirm if it's actually the one you think it is. All right, let's zoom that back out and refresh this a little bit. There we go. Wait, oh gosh, I'm loving me some Minecraft. Warcraft 3 game mode on Dota 2 now. I did not play Warcraft 3 or Warcraft 1, but I did play Warcraft 2. And I absolutely loved it. 12 hours. Oh my gosh. That's not too much Minecraft. There's no such thing as too much Minecraft. Play the demo Warcraft 2. It was a very well put together game. Young Dobbs got much enjoyment out of it. And like, I didn't even touch multiplayer. I just enjoyed the campaign. I loved building up the tech tree and, upgrading units. There was just something very satisfying about that. Fully maxed netherite in one day. That is that takes a lot. That takes some commitment. So what were we talking about here? Oh yes, talking about providing an X center, Y center, width and height. Or what if instead of width and height, I provided, instead of width, what if I provided right? So like I can tell it, hey, the center is at 100 and the rightmost side is at 200, and then let the computer figure out the rest. Is it? Did I bump it, or does it just sound bad right now? Hold on. Let's take a listen here. Oh, that does sound pretty bad. Why don't I hear myself in the echo? Let's try this. How about now? That still sounds pretty bad. Oh wait. Maybe this? Getting there? Still not in love with the audio quality, but thank you, past Dobbs. It's normal now. It still doesn't sound great. Do I still have the noise removal on this? I do. What if I do this? I don't know if that'll help. It might help. I've got the gain pretty low. It's normal now. Last week tops. Yeah. I guess that's as good as we're gonna get. Okay, so ultimately, this is just a stupid way of creating buttons where I don't want to have to keep up with the mental math. I can instead say, just grab the, here's where to center it, or here's where to put the left side, or something. Let's play around with this. We're gonna go crazy on UI tonight. I'm gonna go all in on UI. So we're gonna take in name, properties, and onClick. And we're gonna generate a button from that. So the important part here is properties. We are going to require either, what are we gonna need? Let's see here. We need to be able to determine its width. There's no way it will work. This is going to be really goofy. So here's my idea. We're looking for 2 of the following properties. No. Left. We're not going to use X. We're going to use left, I think. I don't know. Now I'm not sure. I would love to be able to use X or left. Oh, gotcha. Do you have it on GitHub or anything? Because if so, if the code is public, I could just take a look and see what's going on with that. This is gonna be so weird. This is such a stupid idea, but I'm kind of interested in seeing if it works now. For GitHub? No, GitHub's free. If they try to charge you, then you're looking at the wrong thing. I use GitHub to host this stuff. And I've never paid them a dime. There are paid services. Let's see. But granted, if you're not familiar with GitHub, it would probably take you a long time to kind of figure out how to get your code uploaded. Let's see here. Check if required properties exist. See, I need to make sure I have... Oh boy. Alright, so the properties I'm interested in are X, which is otherwise known as left, center X, right, and width. These are the properties that I can use to determine the X location and size. How many of those do I need? If I have center X, then I can use any of the other 3. I just need 1 more. I need at least 2 of these. Actually, I need any 2. Ooh, yeah. If I have the left side and the right side, I'm good. If I have the center and the left side, I can determine the right side. If I have the center and the right, I can determine the left. If I have the center and the width, I can determine the left and the right. If I have the right and the width, I'm good. If I have the left and the width, yeah, that works. So I just need to make sure I have at least 2 of those. And also, I cannot have just X. This one's a tricky one because this is basically an alias. And I want to make sure, do I care that much about being able to provide it just X as a property? That would be really cool. It'd be useful. All right, here's the thing. In this function right here, this is going to be kind of a black box that would, the more forgiving it is, the better. Especially if it also manages to like double check my work. Like, let's say I give it left, right, and center, but the numbers don't add up. Then we have an issue, and it has to like alert me and make some guesses somehow. Yeah, I think let's do it that way. Oh, this is gonna be so rough. Oh. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 possible combinations for these. What is this for? Okay. Basically, what I want to be able to do. Oh, Kip. This is going to sound terrible. This is so that I can put a button in the middle of the screen that says click here to play. That is what this is for, effectively. That's an oversimplification, but effectively, that's what this is. Here, let me bring up Moonrover again. Okay, so Moonrover. Moonrover has all these buttons, right? And for these buttons, all right, have a good one, Friss. Thanks for popping in. So here's the thing, is that like, all right, right here, the way that Moonrover buttons are handled is I provide it the X and Y location of the center of the button, the dead center, and then I can optionally provide it a width and height that override a default width and height. Which is fine. That's okay. But that means for determining, like, if I want to line things up, like I want the top to line up with the top of this button. I want the bottom of this button to line up with the bottom of this button. I want the left of these two buttons to line up. Then I have to do all this math myself. So I have to calculate, all right, the center here, this much margin, center here, center here, center here. That's a pain. What if I didn't have to always provide it the same properties? What if I could provide whatever property is easiest for me to get in that moment? And so I'm trying to puzzle out, how can we do that? And so rather than do it the Moonrover way, which is where we provide an X and a Y, and then maybe we override width and height, we're instead going to call a function that we haven't built yet called UIHandler.button, and we're going to pass it a list of properties that may not be the same every time. Sometimes we're going to provide it the center location. Sometimes we're going to provide it the left and right. Sometimes we're going to provide it the width. Hey, nice. What was it? I'm interested in hearing the mystery. So let's see here. So one of the things is, let's deal with these aliases. There it is. There it is, yeah. It's the extension. Yeah, it has to be the full name, the path, and the extension. No, that's a very common mistake. I had a feeling it was something like that, because that's a very common thing to happen, and it still happens, even Even after you've been programming for 10 years, it still happens. Believe me. I've run into that multiple times in this very project already. Let's see here. Let's see here. What do I want to do? Do some kind of errors or something. Possible to do it just by the name. Well, the thing is, if you provide it, the extension is part of the name of the file, in a sense, just like the directory. All it is a full address of where this file is. Because you can actually have, in the same folder, you can have 2 items with the same name and different extensions. The computer has to know which one you're talking about. Maybe there's some... There probably are... Are we good? Baby monitor. There we go. We're good. There are probably some programs out there that can infer what you're trying to do. Typically HTML is not designed to do that. Go getting low coverage on the baby monitor. This is kind of a stupid way to do this. This is just to handle the alias. I think that should work. We can do that, and then we can also do the same with top being the same as Y. And let's go ahead and add a to-do error checking. We want to make sure that we have some way of determining, like, wait a second, you just told me the left side is here, but X is here. Those are supposed to be the same properties. What are you talking about? All right, so now we are looking for... Oh boy, there's so many possible ways to handle this. Turns out that no, yeah, that makes sense. I tried Unity like, gosh, like 5 years ago or something. The thing is, this is the fun part for me. Java's for apps while Python is for electronics. Not really. That's like, they're just different languages, different tools, but you can use them to you can solve many different problems with them. You can create pretty much anything with any program, with any programming language. It's just sometimes it's easier or harder with some. Yeah. Yeah, sometimes different limitations. Sometimes a language lends itself to different things better. So JavaScript is one I use a lot. I use that at work as well. TypeScript is kind of a subgenre of JavaScript. At work, I do some Java, which I don't really enjoy. Some VB.NET, C#. I haven't used Python in a long time. I am a software developer for a company that does not sell software. They sell other things, and I write software to make that easier for them. And actually, I guess some languages are not technically... The definition of what is a programming language gets tricky, because I know SQL... That's more of a... I guess that's more of a query language, though you can execute commands with it. I did computer science, which... that's a little bit more theory than like actual training on here's how you program. It's a lot of comp sci is a lot heavier on like, is it possible to find a solution to this algorithm? Or, you know, what is theoretically, should there exist an equation that can compute such and such? What do you have to do to become a software developer? Ooh. All right. I worked with a guy. You know who I'm talking about, don't you, Hovercat? Guy got hired on in my company as an intern developer. So we gave him the absolute easiest tasks. Like, don't even bother fixing this bug. Just, here's the code base. Yes, he developed the interns. He was the intern developer. Just find the code, and then just write a line of code that does this. You know, we're not even going to put it in the application. We just want you to kind of get your feet wet and, you know, look at some of the example code we already have, adapt that as you want. We gave him like this straight up simplest programming stuff we could find. And we came back, he did not program. What he did is he would go into an editor and he would just look at the stuff that was getting filled in and be like, yeah, and then yep, that looks good. Okay. Yep. That one looks good. All right, that probably does it. Does that do it? Can you check my work? Did that do it? And like, that's gibberish. That's word salad. That's nothing. And here's the worst of it. Okay, so what's wrong with that? Well, it's like opening Microsoft Word, doing some monkey on keyboard kind of writing, and then letting spell checker fix it for you and saying, there's my essay. It's like, okay, technically every word is spelled right, but they make no sense. So somehow this intern was then offered a position with the company as a full-time programmer. And he would have gotten it had he not lied about previous arrest records. All this story is to tell you is that anyone can be a software developer. If you want to get a job as a software developer, there is it's not as hard as some people might make it out to be, because apparently you don't need to know how to program.
I actually thought you were going to tell a story about a different guy.
I know who you're thinking about. At least he kind of knew the basics. He knew more than the intern. Love zoomed in rover. This is a game. All right, so honestly, if you want to get a development job, and this does depend on exactly what kind of development job you're going for. Like, if you are going to go into a job for a company that actually does create software as their product, that is very different than corporate apps, which is creating specialized programs for a big company just to help them do their work faster. Do we have QA? Very few, not nearly enough, honestly. Robotics. I don't know as much about robotics. So I couldn't really tell you. Honestly, what I would do is just kind of start getting your feet wet with some basic projects. Just make your projects about something you're interested in. Like for me, I like video games. So whenever I'm doing home projects and I'm trying out new stupid ideas like this, I always make my home project a video game so that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to get into this. I'm going to enjoy this. And then I can try stupid ideas and see what works and learn from it. Like right now, the reason I'm trying this stupid idea is because in the last game I built, Moon Rover, I tried something. It worked, but it was kind of a pain to deal with. So I want to try and make something a little bit better this time. Yeah, absolutely. Just start learning it, play around, make mistakes, start projects. They're going to suck, and that's okay. Because that's the first, as they say, the first step is sucking. That's the first step to being kind of okay at something. JavaScript, so here's something fun. If you open your browser right now, and hit F12, then you will see this lovely little developer console pop up. This is present in Chrome, Firefox, Edge, whatever else is out there. Safari might have. I'm sure Safari has this. And it's got a console tab. And then you see this little thing? You can just start writing JavaScript right there. I can just immediately put 1 + 1 and boom. It tells me it's 2. Can't do that with Notepad, can you now? Now, granted, this is just to play around with very small things. But, you know, you can work with it. Like, hello there, dot length. I can calculate the length of a string. You know, just kind of playing around with the syntax and getting a handle on the basics. Yeah, it's F12 on your keyboard. Boop. And then it pops open, and then you hit console. Ooh, Code Academy. Good suggestion. There's a website called Code Academy that presents you with small little, almost like puzzles. Little challenges to do very small programming things. Like, here is a string of text. Compute the length of it. That's it. Just count how many letters are in it, and then return that. That's a great way to kind of get started with some very basic problems. I would at least recommend kind of getting the general, like the very, very basics of like, what is a string? What is an integer? What is a function? These are very, very basic things that don't apply to any specific language. They're found in pretty much all programming languages. But you kind of want to know those very early basics before you kind of dive into the small puzzles. All right. Now then. All right. How are we going to manage this? If width is defined, oh boy. If width is defined, then we can pretty easily determine the rest. Finish HTML first? Maybe. You can kind of learn some basics of JavaScript without even dipping your toes into HTML. Although JavaScript typically is used for manipulating HTML, you can do the absolute bare bones without HTML. HTML is kind of nice for learning, like, hey, here's how you make things appear on a web page. Cool. But you don't really do logic in HTML. Not in the traditional sense. HTML is just the window that shows you what's going on, but it doesn't actually do anything itself. if that makes sense. Your computer does the calculations. Your monitor just shows them to you. The game, the video game you're playing does not exist in the monitor. That's just how you see what's happening in the video game. It's all happening in the computer. That's the best explanation I can give for that. HTML is the monitor. JavaScript is the computer. That is a huge oversimplification for anyone that actually knows about HTML and JavaScript and CSS. Don't hold me to all that. If I know the width, then the rest of this is pretty easy. If I don't... If I had center X and right, that's probably the weirdest one. Oh, how am I going to do this? Ooh. Okay. Let's start with just I want to calculate the width. Nothing else. Small pieces. Quantum computers. Don't really know much about them. Honestly, I like high-level development over low-level development. Which is to say, I don't care how the computer does the calculation. As long as I can tell it, give me the square root of 4, and it spits back 2, I'm satisfied. I don't care how it happened behind the scenes. I want to focus on my program and not the nitty-gritty going on under the hood. I like to drive the race car. I don't like to fiddle around in the engine. Impossible to hack. Ooh, famous last words. Nothing is impossible to hack. If anyone tells you otherwise, they are trying to sell you something. There is very difficult to hack. There is, we don't know how to hack it yet, but there is never impossible to hack. Let's see here. We're going to grab width, and if we don't get width provided to us, then... let's reduce properties to props. Mostly just for shorter line length. If we have center X and X, then our setup is center X minus X times 2. That's an easy one. If we have X and right, then our width equals right minus X. And finally, if we have right and center, then it's right minus center times 2. Okay, and at this point, we must have width calculated. If we don't, then we need to do some error check and be like, hey, none of the combinations gave us width. There's a problem. But that's our width right there. We now have our width. And now we want to get our X. which is props.x. But if we don't have x, then we'll look at and see if we have center. If so, then x is center minus half of width. And if we have right, then it's right minus width. There we go. Now we have x and width. Done. Now we do the exact same thing for height. Hey, Sav, thank you for the follow. So, height is going to be basically the same, except instead of width, we're doing height. Instead of x, we're doing y. Oh, there we go. Change that, change that, change that. Instead of center x, we're doing center y. That's self-explanatory. Instead of right, we're doing bottom. Okay, I think that might be all of them. Oh, wait, there's a center X I forgot to change over. There we go. Okay, I might check that out a little bit later then. Okay, so then that might be it for this, and then we can actually create our button object, which accepts a name, an X, a Y, a width, a height, and an on click. The very things we were looking for. And then we can return the button. All right. Whew. That is quite a lot there. All right, let's refresh this. Let's try the basics of this test. And then for our props, we're going to say 200, 200, width 100, height 50. Oops. That's a comma. And then on click is nothing. All right, let's see what happens here. Did it create a button? It did create a button that appears to have everything we need. Okay, I think we're on the right track here. This dot elements push button. UI handler dot elements does have our button. I think we're ready to wire up our UI handler now and actually see a button appear. Wouldn't that be something? So to do that, on our loop here, UI handler dot update has to happen. And down here, we want to make sure we draw our elements. Right here, I think. Hey, green heroes. How's it going, man? Is mouse over is not a function. Is mouse over? What? Who said I did that? Oh, I see. I need to have a function on the button object itself that tells me if the mouse is on top of our button. That should do it, maybe. Let's try that. Oh, we have a button. There it is. Can't really tell, but it's there. We have a button. Green, we spent all night making that button in the most roundabout way possible. It was fantastic. I had a blast. Okay, button. Also needs to define the actual text. Ooh, font. Always a blast. That's what we want to do. Fill text. The text is this dot name. The X is this dot. Oh, hang on. I just thought of something fun we can do again. We can do a get X center. Which is basically just, it's going to be a little bit of just a little shortcut for us. Y. Oh, I don't remember how this works. Let's just do this .y for now and fix it later. All right, does that work? Still nothing. Let me try this just to make sure. Oh, nope, there it is. It's right above. You just can't tell. So to fix that. Okay, so we give it the bottom. Okay, so we need a font size variable. We're going to go with 16 for now, but we may change that. And then we're going to need like a base margin, which we're just kind of see what works. Let's give that a little bit more, 12, 16. Let's try 16. That looks pretty good. All right, so we can change this back to pure white color there. There it is. Test button. Nice. So that's kind of like how Moonrover does it. So we can do a thickness. We can bump up the thickness of the text. Ooh, yeah, that's some thick text. So it'll be like play. And there, that'll be our play button. Okay, so in Moonrover, the base UI color was this kind of light purple. And when you mouse over it, you get both an outline and the color would shift to a slightly lighter hue. So we want to make sure to do something like that as well. So to do that, what we're going to do is if is mouse over, basically draw another rectangle, but slightly lighten it slightly. Let's try this much. Is this enough? Might be a little bit. That's all right, I think. Yeah. And then we also want to give it a an outline. What's our color for that, though? Do we have any other good colors? Oh, the red. The red seems pretty obvious, right? That red right there. Let's try that. Let's see if that's too much. That might be too much. Actually, you know what? We've got this gold color that contrasts very nicely with the blue. Maybe that'll stand out nicely. Let's do that one. All right. Have a great night, Sav. Thanks for hanging out. Good conversation. I'll be back for more game dev next week on Friday, but I'll play some video games in the days up until then. All right, we're going to do stroke rect. And this is basically saying draw a line around our box. Oh, absolutely. Glad you got that working. Good first step. All right, so now, oh, yep. We got a little bit of a... Ooh, now I'm wondering if the dark blue... Is that what I want for that base button color? I guess so. The deep sea blue that we've got going on, I don't want that to be it, because that's going to be kind of the base background color. So let's stick with it as is. Let's use this for now. All right, so that's our basic button rules. Oh, and let's try this as well. What if I had center X of 200 and Y of 300? That is a good centering. Yeah, that looks great. I think this is working. Granted, to do, we still eventually want to have error checking on here so that we don't... Admittedly, I'm the only developer, but very easy for me to make a mistake. I could very easily forget how I'm supposed to instantiate buttons on the UI and accidentally provide not enough details. And if I do so, the button just probably wouldn't even show up. Just installed a plugin in Premiere. Nice. What does the plugin do? A lot of sounds and transitions and stuff. Nice. So far, Premiere's working pretty well for you. Well, good. All right, that's our level generation there. Let's get rid of that. Nice, nice. Okay, so what we're gonna have is we want to have a main menu. Or should we have a menu folder? Let's do a... Hang on, let me look at what Moon Rover wound up having. Did it have a ton of menus? It did, because it had achievement menu, character menu, main menu, options menu. All right, we might want to actually have a menu folder. Surprised your CPU isn't exploding doing this stuff. Nice. Gosh, I do remember Windows Movie Maker back on XP crashed a lot. Nothing drilled in the idea of save early, save often quite like that program. Oh wait, no, it's UI/menu/main menu. All right, main menu. Which I think what we want to do here is basically
Oh no, we did it as a class, interestingly. Instead of a single. You know what? That does make sense, I guess. I'm trying to think if there's any logic I want to put in like a base menu class. Certain video formats save it. If it crashes, is it like MKV? I have no idea. The last time I did video editing, like all the software would let you do, all Movie Maker would really let you do is take clips and put them one right after the other, and then maybe like trim off a little bit of the end or split it into two clips and do like a slight fade between them, some kind of transition. That was about it. There wasn't things like, it did not give you the capability of things like showing videos side by side and making elements move across the screen and all this stuff. Green screening, chroma key, all that. No. That was not an option. Nice. Nice. All right. So we're going to have a load main menu function, which when you load the main menu, what are we going to do? We're going to create our elements. By calling UIHandler.button with our properties here. Yo, you want some grapes? Nice. We're gonna get some grapes, guys. We're not gonna call a prediction on these grapes just yet, but hold tight. All right. Oh, I mentioned this a little bit during probably last stream, but now that Dobbs Quest is on hiatus for a bit, I'm probably gonna crack open Oxygen Not Included again. That's gonna be pretty cool. Been a long time since I played that, and there's a lot of new DLC content. No, not that kind of green. The thing I really like about that game is getting to name the dupes after people in chat. That's always very fun. So we can apply the width. We can get the, or rather, we can get the center. I can get where I want to position it. How big is our canvas here? 600. I don't know, put it at 400. We'll try this. And the button does nothing, effectively. So we need a main menu class. When you initialize, we are going to set it up. Wait. Yeah. I guess. Oh, that works. And then we'll have a big logo, and then we can have options off to the side. I feel like the highlight color is a little too strong. Let's lighten that a bit. That's better. And now our play button is way too small. Or our text is way too small. But whatever. Okay, but right now, there's no campaign to actually play. You've got your editor. I didn't get anything out of my sinuses. It's just all up in my head, and it just won't leave. So let's see. We do want to have a button for level editor. So we're gonna do kind of the same thing, but we're gonna tell it. Here's where we're getting crazy here. I'm gonna tell it, hey, I want the right side of this button to be equal to the left side. Actually, that's something we can change here. Is we can do a get left. We can basically alias that. I can tell it, give me the left side of the play button and also bump over an extra 25 pixels. See? I didn't have to calculate where the X was based on the width and height. And here's the big thing. This is actually fantastic for a principle. This is kind of adjacent to a principle called DRY, D-R-Y, don't repeat yourself. The idea being, here's the central concept. Well, before I get to the central concept, the general idea, the most common use of it is, if you've got some code that does something, and you want to do the same thing somewhere else, don't just copy-paste the code. Instead of having the code in two places, have it in a single place so that when you make the change, like when you have to change that function, that change gets used in both places, not just one, because that would be awful. The central concept there is that when you want to change something in your code, you should only have to change one thing. This is a really hard aspiration. This is a very difficult thing to actually make work in practice. Basically, the idea is like, hey, I kind of want to pull this in a little bit. I feel like that center play button is too wide. Well, what I can do is I can just say, all right, reduce the width of this center button, refresh. And look, the gap between the buttons stayed the same because I didn't want to change that. I only wanted to change the width of this button. And I wanted to pull everything back together. I didn't want to change the gap between the buttons, I just wanted to change this. Now, yes, that did change the position of this button, but the central concept that this UI has is that the buttons have set gutters between them, and that changing the width of an object should not change the distance from its neighbors. The problem is, what if the actual desire was, okay, this button doesn't move just when this button moves. If that was the case, then I did things wrong. But for this scenario, this is what I want to happen. Because in the old system, I would have to recalculate things like, okay, I've changed this one by 50 pixels, which means I need to change this one's position by 25 pixels, and it's a mess. You don't want to deal with that. So right now, as stupid as it is, this property-based button positioning actually works pretty well for us. I don't know if I'm going to feel the same way in like 2 months' time when we're kind of getting really in-depth on the project. But right now, that was perfect. That worked exactly like I wanted it to. So I'm happy. All right, we're going to do a few more things before we call it a night. First off, this edit mode button down here. It calls switch to editor. And we're going to make this button do that. Because this one, although it says, we're going to change it to say level editor. We're going to bump its width up. There we go. That ought to do it. Oh, look at that. Perfect. Okay, a thing to change on our level editor is that level editor needs to remove our UI elements. Or edit mode could just no, let's just drop it. I think this should work. Yes, okay. And then we're gonna add a button up here where we do export, import. Oh, is that up here? It is, in fact, up here. We're going to add a main menu button. Back to main menu. Which is going to be in here. We're going to have a return to main menu button linked up to a return to main menu function. What is that going to do? That is going to... What is that going to do? Is edit mode is going to go back to false. Sprites are deleted. And then we are going to load main menu again. Does that work? Level editor. Oh. Save. Level editor, back to main menu. Enter scenario text. Uh-oh. Oh. It doesn't actually do the thing I just told it to do. That was just an import button with different text. It was close. We are kind of back on the main menu. Except all these extra buttons are still here that we created. Where are those? Editor buttons. Here we go. Oh, we don't need this anymore. We're getting rid of the edit button entirely. That's gone. Okay. So we're going to drop the edit button from the page, because now we're doing that on the canvas. We're no longer doing that in HTML. We're moving that into the canvas so that we can use our fancy new UI buttons instead. Then we've got... What else does this do? Right here, the editor container gets displayed when the editor turns on, which means that we need to hide it when we turn it off. And then finally, these buttons down here, tile buttons. Tile button character container, we want to empty that out. Just dump all the contents. we're just gonna do a really quick inner HTML equals empty string. It's good enough. Back to main menu. There we go. Back to main menu. Perfect. Yeah, actually that does in fact work. So now our UI is working. We can actually navigate between different parts of our application without having to just run functions in the console. So level editor is going to bring us here. We can now draw our level however we want. You know, put a little river through it as well. Why not? Can add some initial elements. You know, add one of our tower defense snowmen. And then we can export it as text. And then we can go here, and then presumably we're going to be able to play the level. Or we can go here and import it and edit it some more. Amazing. So the next piece is we want to actually be able to play our levels. Play our levels. So, play level. Let's put that in our main. Let's call that play. No, let's call that import level. There we go. That's better. Functionality of that is import level. So I want to just confirm whether or not this works. I don't think this does, but we're gonna try it. Oh, that actually does work. Okay, good. Wait, does that actually work? What if I console log this? No, then it gives me the button instead of the main menu. So the context changes slightly. Let's see. How does that change? I want this to represent the main menu, not the button that you're clicking. So I would have to do bind this, I think. Yes, that's it. This is goofy syntax that it's kind of difficult to keep track of. The word "this" in programming is sometimes tricky to. It's very difficult to understand from an outsider perspective because there's not really a great analogy. It's kind of like this is a perfect segue into talking about Little Toadette's language development. Trying to explain the difference between me and you is very, very difficult. Because if I say to her, "Do you want candy?" Then her response might be something, she's thinking to herself, "Oh, candy for little baby me. That sounds great. Yes, you want candy." You've seen that, the hover cat. And so it's very hard to explain the concept of no. The word "I" refers to the speaker. And it's like, what do you mean the speaker? It's like the person who's saying the words, when they say the word "I," that refers to the person who's saying the words. That's extremely complex. But, like, if you're not familiar with how first-person pronouns work, that might be a decent explanation. In programming, the word "this" kind of is like the speaker, the thing that is currently running the function. So when I call this.import level, and then I get into import level, I want this to refer to the main menu. But technically, the thing that's calling this is something else. It doesn't make much sense. It doesn't have to, but just that's the type of problem we're dealing with, is how do you explain to the code what, who the speaker is? And that's what I can do with bind. It's like, speaking on behalf of something else, call this function. All right, so we're importing the level. To import a level, we're going to kind of do it the same way as we do with import scenario here. Now that's for editor scenario. Teresito, thank you for the follow. I hope you caught all that horrible explanation of what is the this keyword mean, because that was a mess. It's gonna be kind of want to do like this, except different. I don't want to do the HTML. I do want to do the terrain. Long time since you've seen it. You know what? I genuinely kind of enjoy working in JavaScript. Here's my big thing with JavaScript, and this is, yeah. if you missed it, so I've got like a 2-year-old, and I've noticed that it's really hard for a 2-year-old to grasp the concept of, in a conversation where we're using the words I and you, which one of us is I and which one of us is you? She does not get that. I'll say, do you want some candy? And she'll say, yes, you want some candy. Give it here. And so my very brief tangent on this, the keyword this, is like, all right, try explaining what I and you is to a toddler. That's essentially the same problem with trying to remember how to wrap your head around this, and specifically how to wrap your head around bind keyword in JavaScript. Oh my gosh. All right, so we want, let's just throw in a little sample scenario here and export it. Boop. All right. And let me copy that out there. JavaScript, one thing I really enjoy in it is how super free reflection of properties is. Yeah, there's some differences there. Excuse me. Actually, C#, great segue. Actually, I'm about to describe something in VB.net. Reflection. If you want to get a list of properties of an object in VB, oh my gosh, there's so much overhead. You've got to jump through all these hoops, and it's an expensive call too. Like you can't do it very often without seeing some slowdown. Luckily, JavaScript is slow to start with, so you don't notice anything. No, but being able to refer to properties as by using the string representation of the property name, that's such a small thing, but you can do some fun stuff with that. I love playing around with that. There's so much goofy stuff you can do that honestly it works great. Okay. Which actually specifically works well for things like level editors, when you're exporting large amounts of properties back and forth, and then you want to kind of convert them back into an object format. Which, granted, JSON handles most of that, but sometimes there's a little bit more steps to it. Just from hearing this, I already know the implications of calling a property by its name in class. Yeah, well, see, I've got an object and I want to get its... and I don't know which property I want. Now there's a trick. But something else knows the name of the property that I want. In C# and VB, that's a headache and a half of, like, all right, you have to go through the reflection. You have to new up the system.reflection. I do not remember the calls for it offhand, but oh my gosh, it's a mess. Because one thing I had to build a lot in Visual Basic for some reason was like object editors where I did not in advance know all the properties that were going to be available, but they would be stored in a SQL table. Oh no. And so I would have to use reflection to kind of bounce off the names of the properties. Okay, so what we're going to do here is we're going to import a level somehow. Let's see if this much works. So I've got my exported level code. Hey, all right, that's something. Okay, so after we do that, we want to remove the main menu, which that one should be pretty easy, right? UI handler dot something something. There we go. This is the one. Yeah, delete the elements there. And then, oh, and then I think we're ready. I think we're ready to load the scenario. Actually, I think I struggled to wrap my head around C# were delegates that protect. I feel like the evolution of the human form. Oh gosh, it's been a long time since I've actually really gotten into C#. I feel like one of the biggest big brain moments for me in like the last, oh gosh, how long has it been? It's been a while now that I think about it, but it's the last one of note for me that I feel like, oh, I can do so much with this, was lambdas in JavaScript. Because I had kind of done a little bit of it in Python, but I don't feel like it ever really clicked for me until I was playing around with it in JavaScript, and I was like, oh my gosh, I get it. This is phenomenal. Oh, the things I can do with this. Oh, it's the feeling all programmers live for. The I can do anything. I'm the smartest person alive right now. Crap, where is that missing semicolon? All right. We need to figure out how to get our scenario loaded up. It is scenario update? What is scenario update? Where did we store that? In our scenario.js. Ah. Delegates helped you making the core mechanic of your game. What is the core mechanic of your game, if I may ask? Current scenario. Ah, here we go. Current scenario. That's what we called it. It's been a while since I actually worked on the scenario stuff, since we've been spending so much time on the editor. So all we should have to do is import level. Oh, nav mesh. We need to update our nav mesh. Ooh, that's a fun idea. I love games that kind of, it's kind of the meta game or something like that. Oh, there was this really cool story I remember a long time ago about like this is an old tale of a Tron light cycle game built on, I don't even remember the hardware of it. But it was one of those old consoles like Atari or one of the old Apples or something, where the idea was that the memory that stored the game code also stored the game display. And so you had to be careful. Like there was a buffer within the allocated memory. There was like, okay, your game code is up here, and then whatever is in this memory here, that's what we're going to display to the screen. And then there's some footer stuff as well. And because of a problem with like a bound check or something, the little light cycle would drive, and then could bomb through solid walls. And it bombed through the solid wall representing the boundary of the game, and actually, in a sense, left the display area and started overwriting the in-memory code portion of the RAM, and the result was that basically the character had escaped into the code of the game. Like, physically, its address, the location representing the player, was no longer in the display area, but was in the area reserved for the game RAM. And so it very true to form for Tron, actually. Ooh, an ARG as well. Yeah, that's a fun idea. Most of the games I build on stream are... I don't do, like, big release things, because I don't plan on selling these at all. I plan on just... These are just for fun, to play around with some goofy ideas I've got. But I respect the grind. What was... The mesh, the nav mesh, yes. We need to... Oh wait, that's supposed to happen on load scenario. Oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm actually just supposed to call load scenario. Well. So this might do it. Oh my gosh, they're coming. Here they come. Load up the penguins. I'm out of money already. That's it. It works. Technically. And then the penguins get stuck and they can't find a route because they reach the tower. And basically you lose. Okay. Let's make a change for the money text draw here to only happen when we have an active scenario. Let's just do an early return because we're lazy right now. I've not, but I've seen enough of it that I can really appreciate the core concept. Snowman towers are going to need a little bit of a change to make sure they attack the closest penguin, not the most, like, the latest generated one. This is working. This is actually working. I think we've got a... Alright, so this is... We don't have a logo. We don't have anything else. Downloading the wrong Twitch stream of mine. Oh no, Hudson! Rip. Ah, that is the worst. You let something run for a while and then in the end it doesn't even matter. All right. And the download failed. Even better, the double whammy. Ooh. Import level, cancel. Ah, yes. We need to make sure that cancel. Not text, and sure, return. We need to make sure it doesn't error out for just canceling. All right. This works. You can now build a scenario and then play it. Now, there's still a lot of game rules to work on, but this is the main step I wanted to get tonight, was get to the point where it's kind of usable. It's ugly. There's only one type of enemy right now, and only one type of, well, I guess 2 types of towers you can build, but the game is usable. You can actually create a scenario and then play it, or send it to someone else to play. Love level editors. What a great concept. Moon Rover didn't have a level editor. Oh yeah, we're gonna need a big logo. That's something I need to do for this one as well. All right. Are we gonna do a raid tonight? All right. I've got there's someone I've had on my follow list for a while that does oxygen not included a lot. But no one really knows them. That's like the only overlap we have. Then we've got oh, that's emote only in GFE's chat. Still down? All right, you know what? Let's do it. Let's do it then. This was good. I'm gonna check this into GitHub so that the new version will be available. I mean, right now it's not super worth it to play. UI elements. But tonight we've kind of hit a big milestone of you can actually maybe have some fun with it. Because you could build a level that is actually playable. You know, you can build out terrain where you can build your units. You can add snowbanks where you can gather resources. Look at all that. And then you can set up your waves. Honestly, that's all you really need to start with. All right, did that check in? Did check in. All right, so let's see here. It's coming there. Yeah. It's not going to be I don't think I'm going to get nearly to the level that Moon Rover got to as far as polish and stuff, but I've got some ideas I want to play around with still that I'm pretty excited about. That I just haven't gotten to them yet because there's still a lot of base functionality we still need. All right, so let's see here. Let's go raid Vin Lapaki. So I think this guy raided me a long time ago when I was doing Oxygen Not Included. And since I'm going to be playing it again soon, it'd be nice to you know, let our palate acclimate to the game again. I'm excited about getting back into it. It's such a fun long-term game. Kind of like Minecraft in that aspect. Guys, thanks for hanging out and enjoying this nice, chill programming time. Sunday, maybe doing more Mario World with Germ Dove. We haven't really decided or if we are or not. We're gonna finish that hack at some point, but I don't know when. It might be Sunday. If it's not, we're going to jump right into Oxygen Not Included with DLC, which I have very little information on. I've seen a little bit of what it's about. It looks really cool. But if we don't start it Sunday, we'll start it Monday. That's it. Have a good weekend, everybody. Catch you guys later. Bye.